See him?
In the water. Did it eat out of your hand?
Took my whole hand in his mouth. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Next Drift. On this episode, we're coming to you from the Florida Keys, Isle Morada, Florida. And, we had a great trip. Headed down in July. Everyone said, oh my gosh, why are you heading down there in July? It's going to be boiling hot. It really wasn't. Temperatures were 85 to 92 degrees all week. Great weather. And, the fishing down there, it's the fishing capital of the world. And, I got some excellent footage. And you can see here, we got a chance to feed some tarpon right at our marina. Big tarpon, big permit were in there. There's some big cobia swimming around if you get a chance to see one in there. And, but I got a chance to go do a lot of snorkeling, and I took some great underwater footage of all that. And I thought it would be a great way to kind of give an example of how fish relate to cover, structure, depth changes, grass lines, all that really cool stuff. And, even though these are Florida fish and tropical fish, we can also use this information, and it relates to northern species, fluke, stripers, any type of game fish that you're looking for, blackfish, sea bass, whatever it may be. They're going to follow the same principles. A fish is a fish is a fish. And you can even relate this to freshwater fish, largemouth bass, trout, whatever it may be. Fish all relate to cover, structure, and depth changes, and any type of edges. Edges are another big thing. And I'm going to get to show you that in this video here. So I'll give you a couple minutes to digest some of these big, beautiful tarpon. Look at these things. It was amazing. There's a couple permit in there. There's a few cobia that swam by, and we even had a couple manatees, which was pretty cool. And, I don't know what else to say about Florida. It's just an amazing place. We're going to end up there at some point, at least for half a year, and get to do some fishing down there. So, as always, if you like this content, please like, comment, and subscribe.
He got it.
You got it. Oh, yeah, big mouth. Huh? There it is. Brother. You gotta be quick.
There's a big guy.
Yup, that's a big guy. He's a big one. That's a good video. Wow. There's the permit. You got the big guy?
Yeah.
What? Very much so. See, look. Look how big his eyes are. Look at the lamprey on him. See the lamprey stuck to his back?
Yeah.
Hitching a ride?
So like those sucker fish?
Lamprey's trying not to get eaten. That is cool. Big boy. So the first thing I want to look at is structure, and I want to show you how these fish relate to it. Now these are smaller fish. I'm not exactly sure what they are, so leave a comment down in the down below and let me know what kind of fish these are. But it's a smaller fish, so obviously they're going to be prey to any larger fish, any predatory fish. But the main thing here that I really want you to focus on is look at how the fish relate to this structure. So these are some rocks that are along kind of like a retaining wall. And you'll see how the different species of fish and different size of fish relate to the structure itself. And this structure forms an edge. And what's really neat is that you'll see the schools of fish that are laying right along the sides of the rocks. Most of them are facing out so they can see. They're kind of hidden underneath the rocks. And they're also utilizing the rocks to be able to position themselves out of the current. So, when the tide is running in or out, they're using the rocks to be able to kind of shield themselves from the current so they don't have to burn as much energy. And, just like these fish are using this type of structure, fluke, for instance, are going to use the same thing. They're going to utilize the edges. And so is the bait. And so, it kind of goes hand in hand. If the majority of the bait is, let's say, let's pretend that this is a rock pile that's out on the south side of Montauk. The bait fish are going to utilize this rock the exact same way. Therefore, the fluke or any other predatory fish are going to position themselves just outside of this type of structure. So when we're looking for new areas, whether it be on the fish finder, on a map, these are the types of areas that I'm looking for to be able to say, hey, you know what, I want to be able to position my drift, position the boat near structure like this, to be able to find fluke or find stripers, whatever it may be. And you can see just next to the sandbar, it starts to drop off into deeper water. And that's going to be, when you hear in previous videos where I've talked about depth changes, a 1, 2, 3 foot depth change can be the difference, between catching fish and not catching fish, because the predatory fish are going to use those depth changes to their advantage. Now let's talk about edges. And you can see here we have a very defined weed edge, and right away you're going to see a school of baitfish that are utilizing that edge. And if you notice how they didn't want to come out into that sandy open area, that's because they're relating to this grass line. And any type of edge, whether it be weeds, it could be rock, it could be gravel to sand, any type of an edge like that, the fish are going to use, especially bait fish are going to use to kind of stay into that edge and camouflage themselves. Now at the same time, predatory fish will also utilize that edge because they'll hide themselves in it to ambush prey. So as bait fish come along, a predatory fish can see this, sit on the edge of the grass line, say, on the edge, and be able to get a good view out and see what's coming by, what's coming to them, so they can jump out and ambush prey. So edges are always really important, and usually you can find an edge, like a weed edge on your fish finder, by just kind of turning the sensitivity up a little bit, and you'll see the weeds on the graph, and you'll be able to see where that actual edge itself is, where the grass line stops, and you want to position your boat based on where that edge is, so you can either drift down it, you can fish it, whatever it may be. But that's a great example of an edge. And here's another edge right here. You can see how this edge, where there's a drop off, it goes from say 3 feet deep down to about 6, and it forms this edge, and you can see all the fish that are, the bait fish that are sitting along that edge. And just outside, you couldn't really see it at the time, but just off camera, there were a few big tarpon that were kind of cruising along this edge, and I really wish they had shown up on camera, but the tarpon were sitting outside this edge looking for bait fish and looking to ambush them. And, another good thing to think about, you can see the color, the difference in the water color, where it kind of goes from light to dark. When you look at a predatory fish, sharks, tarpon, bass, whatever it may be, bluefish are a great example, their back is dark, and that's because they want to be able to camouflage themselves so they can sit below the prey, and their dark back will blend in with the deeper water color as camouflage. Pretty awesome stuff. But you can see how this edge is, and down and below this edge there were even some big grouper. I wasn't able to get down there deep enough to get him on video, but a couple times I had taken a deep breath and dove way down there, and I saw a couple grouper that were probably 150, 200 pounds. They were big, pretty scary too. But anyway, same thing. They're relating to that edge, and this is just awesome stuff. So no matter where you fish, whether it's Florida, whether it's up at Montauk, whether it's even in the Great Lakes, it's the same principle everywhere you go. So as you're looking at this, you know, kind of picture, if you're a fluke fisherman, you know, where would the fluke position himself? If you're a bass fisherman, freshwater bass fisherman, you know, where, picture these as being largemouth or smallmouth bass. It's the same exact thing. And if you remember that, whenever you go fishing, and you're looking for specific places like this, that's how you're going to catch more fish. That clicking that you keep hearing, and it took me a little while to kind of figure it out, but what it actually is fish that are pecking rocks all over the place, and that sound is traveling. So it's actually not the camera, but it's fish that are pecking on rocks and stones all through the water. And what I was trying to kind of point out there with my hand was the edge, and you can see how you have these rocks, and there's a little bit of a drop off, and you know, there's that real defined edge. And right outside of that edge, there were barracuda, which you're going to see, and it was just a prime example of what I've talked about in previous videos. So. Now, something else that I think is, you know, really interesting I want to show you too is an edge can also be where two different types of grasses meet. You can see this beautiful eelgrass, and you know, the two different types of grasses when they meet will also create that edge, and that's something else to focus on. So really, kind of noticing where the different types of grasses meet, different types of vegetation meet, can also form an edge that fish will use. I talked about predatory fish utilizing edges, and here's a small barracuda that was out on patrol, probably looking for bait, and you know, he's utilizing the different types of structure and trying to hide in the different edges as he searches for bait fish. So I hope you found some of this information useful. And, you know, I know, like I said, this is Florida. It's warm water. It's different types of fish, different species of fish than maybe what you're going to be fishing for. But I really was trying to prove the point of, you know, edges, structure, depth changes, and how fish, both bait fish and predatory fish, utilize them. So anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this. If you like this content, please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate you watching. We're going to have a lot more videos coming up in the coming weeks. Thanks again for watching. Take care, everybody.